course. All right, Johanna Clearfield, where are you? There she is, everybody. Clap it up.
Okay, so it's the early 1980s, the boom 80s, Reagan 80s, and I'm in my early 20s. It was my boom 20s. I didn't look like this. I was very Valerie Bertinelli. I was very curvy and luscious. I was. Now I'm stark New York chick, which I am. So I had been really disgusted with all these temp jobs. I was doing stand-up comedy, and I decided I knew that there were two very important things in my life at that point. One was I had discovered that I really liked sex. Now, I was 23, and I had waited until I was 22. So that was the first thing. And the second thing was I really needed money. I see you're making a connection, but at that point, I really wasn't. Those were just the two standout bullet points in my life at that point. So I sort of made a compromise, and I signed up for work as a secretary at First Boston. And you know the expression, those who can do, those who can't are secretaries. But I got really lucky. First of all, I made it through the first pass, which the interviews are the worst, to try to get full-time jobs when you're an artist or when you're creative, because you have to really put your game face on, and you rehearse the whole night before. You're like, I really love the support professional. Wait, no, that's wrong. I'd like to be a support professional. No, that sounds like crap. All right, I really enjoy the support role. You know, fuck it, right? You just prepare, and I made it through the first pass with the human resources manager, whose name, by the way, I'll never forget, was Joan Graves. And she was very, very gothic. She was right out of there. She looked like Joyce Carol Oates. She just needed the pitchfork. And she took the interview very, very seriously, and I was like, oh, fuck, but I can smell the money, and I'm going to get me some. So I got past her, and she moves me to the next stage, which is meeting the managing director who I'd be working for. And I, get ushered off to his office, and I walk in, and I'm so fucking shocked because this guy has a cowboy hat on, cowboy boots, and he's wearing an apricot shirt, black tie, black suit. He's from Australia, and he's gorgeous. So the two things are starting to come together. I don't know exactly how, but it feels like they will. And the thing is that the whole interview, again, I'm 23 years old, and I was kind of psyched, and I was kind of upbeat, and I was like telling him, he wasn't even interviewing me for real. He wasn't asking me anything about, can you type, can you file, do you know, the alphanumeric system. He was just like, so, tell me about, it was like, what's a good girl like you doing in a crap place like this, And that was the interview, and finally he did say, so tell me, you seem intelligent, you got a college background, you seem smart, why do you want this job? And I could tell this man, he had his feet up on his desk, and he was just totally, he was like, get real, and he could smell bullshit, and I needed this job. And I said, I don't want this job, John. I need this job. And there was like a silence, and then he just jumped up, and he shook my hand and said, you're hired. And then it got crazy. Because I found out he didn't even need a daytime secretary, because all his business he did at night. He was an Asia Pac man, so everything opened up Singapore, Asia at night. He didn't need anyone there during the day. He had a night secretary who came in. She was like the wife. She came in at night, and she did like the laundry, the socks. I mean, she did the real stuff. And what my job was, basically, I found out pretty soon, was to just show up and be fascinating. Is that you, Jen? No, that is just musical accompaniment. Thank you. That's okay. Where was I? Being fascinating. Okay. So I found out pretty soon, not only did I have this great, crazy renegade boss who's wearing cowboy boots and looks like Crocodile Dundee, but I find out I don't have any work. I do not have work to do. I can just work on my comedy material or call agents or do whatever I want, but pretty quickly found out he also wanted me to entertain him. So this is what happened pretty much all day long, just making him laugh and joking around, and then he asked me to go to dinner with clients, and it was like he was showing me off. I was like his New York Jew artist. And that was okay because he was like the first Australian, Crocodile Dundee guy. We were both like on that superficial level, and it was working for both of us. I was weird, he was weird. And I was like all swept up, and we went out to this one client dinner, and then he stayed later, and his clients left, and he's like, giving me that Hugh Grant, I'm fascinated with you. He's just so fascinated with me that I ended up at his apartment where he could be further fascinated. And I fascinated him several times. And I get to work the next day, and of course he goes in at 9 o'clock, and I schlep in at like 12:30, and I'm wearing what I was wearing the night before. No, of course nobody says anything. And there's a little yellow sticky on my desk with a smiley face, and it says, "Look in your drawer." And I open the drawer, and there's an envelope, and there's a little bow on the envelope, and I open up the envelope, and there's $2,000 cash. Which, by the way, in 1983 was like $1 million. So again, the sex and money coming together pretty nicely. And I'm like, shit, what's this for? Did he think that I was sleeping with him for money? And then I was like, did he think I was sleeping with him for money? And then I remembered that in the conversation I had mentioned that there was this photographer who did these amazing headshots, and if I could get these headshots, my life would be great, and I would be the next superstar, and all I needed was, and they cost $2,000. And here it was. And I was like, when I was sleeping with him the night before, feeling like, you know what, this is nice for one night, but he's got a fleshy butt, and this isn't going to happen again. And I may be kind of like groovy and go with the moment, but if it's a fleshy butt, it's not going to happen again. So I was trying to figure out how to deal with him and not lose my job and, factor it all in. And I'm out of time, so I'll have to finish this story next week. No, it's okay. All right, in one fast forward, here's what happened. I feel like a monk. Here's what happened. He gave me keys to his summer house. He didn't show up. I found out he was just parading me in front of all his Australian friends. Then he gives me keys to his city house, and I find out he wants me to walk in because his fiancée is there, and I'm waking her up. And he's been pissed off because she's been dicking him around, not giving him a wedding date, and I was like the coercion to make it happen, and I realized at that point that the $2,000 wasn't worth it, and I quit my job.